You guys, we have a very, very special beginning tonight. You might want to get your handkerchiefs ready because we are going to sing a song, and it's going to hurt your ears so bad you might cry. Just kidding. I don't usually sing in front of people.
All right. Who knows Mr. Rogers? Old school Mr. Rogers.
Not Daniel Tigers.
And who was at our wedding? Delita wasn't even there. Were you there? Oh, come on. Anyway, 13 years ago, and we sang this Mr. Rogers song at our wedding. And every bit of it is true. It kind of became a song that was kind of funny for us when we were dating. And then we're like, we like the song a lot. It's going to be in our wedding. So, here we go. It's you I like. It's not the things you wear. It's not the way you do your hair. But it's you I like. The way you are right now. The way down deep inside you. Not the things that hide you. Not your toys. They're just beside you. But it's you I like. Every part of you. Your skin, your eyes, your feelings. Whether old or new. I hope that you'll remember. Even when you're feeling blue. That's not the right one. Blue. There it is. That it's you I like. It's you yourself. It's you. It's you I like. I hope that you'll remember, even when you're feeling blue, that it's you I like. It's you yourself. It's you. It's you I like. Who's got the Kleenex? Is that good?
I'm crying.
Good one?
Okay.
No, Mr. Rogers wrote it. 1971. You weren't around. Anyway, we love that song and all that kind of embodies about friendship and I don't know longevity of a great spouse. And I don't know. There's a lot of things that people put value on in a relationship. You know, it's kind of funny because this is Mr. Rogers, so it's like directed toward like toys and things like that. But it's really, I don't know. I like the line. My favorite one is, "It's not your toys; they're just beside you. It's you." And I don't know. I think there's a lot of pressure that friendships are about things and things you can acquire in friendships, and it's just whether it's same sex or other sex relationships. It's not about what you can get from somebody. And I think that's a really, I don't know, messed up part about youth culture right now. It's about what you can get out of it. It's about number of girlfriends. It's a body count. It's yuck. And so there's a lot more to it, and it's about the person. So.
Mm-hmm. And what I love about that song is like, in a relationship I had before I was dating Titus in college, I never really felt like I was totally myself. He was a great, wonderful guy, great leader, and I really respected him, but I never felt like I was totally myself around him. And Titus just consistently encouraged me to like open myself up to him, who I was, just exactly who I was, nothing else. And so that song just embodies that also.
Cool. Well, should we get to some of the questions? Oh, man.
Yeah, let's go.
How did you meet? You want to go for it?
Sure.
Me too.
We met here at Christ Community Church. Church is a great place to meet a future spouse. We were hanging out in a group of friends of people who were like in their 20s, early 20s. And we would do funny things like we'd go to movies or go out for coffee or have bonfires where we also brought like a TV out to the bonfire and watched movies. And just hung out and did a lot of fun things together. And so we got to see each other's characters and how they interacted with other people. And I saw Titus was pretty amazing. He was always treating everyone with respect. He treated everyone the same, like no matter who they were. Just that he valued each of them like they were royalty. And I think that's a pretty rare thing. I thought that was pretty special. I said, I could hang around that guy for a while.
Sweet. Next one?
I got this one.
I got this one. All right. When in the relationship should the first kiss happen? All right. So, not that how we did it is the right way or not, but I was, I think, 22, 23, and I had a very good feeling that this is possibly going to be the person I'm going to marry. And we made a pact to not kiss for at least a month, and while we were dating, and it's hard to do that while you're falling very hard for somebody, and but I'm glad early on we had some really good physical boundaries, and I don't know, just don't want to go around kissing everybody. Sure, it might feel good, but it made that first kiss in the dugout at the MOC baseball diamond
Woo.
very special.
Romantic. Woo.
Yep. You asked. Whoever asked. After the game? There was no game. We were the game.
We were the game. Game on. It's a tie game. Titus won, Maggie won. Tie game.
Who wins? Everybody wins. Have you seen the movie Hitch? If so, what were your thoughts on it? It's been a long time.
My favorite part is when Will Smith is allergic to something and his face is all swollen up and he's drinking Dime Tap straight out of the bottle. That is epic. I wish we could cue that up right now. I can't remember the premise of the movie, though.
And it kind of like it doesn't take being smooth to find someone to love.
This date doctor guy helps these other guys get through their first 3 dates, just giving them confidence as far as it goes. And then he meets this girl who's a news reporter, and he has trouble getting to a relationship with her himself.
So Maggie was a news reporter. All right. Awesome. I like the movie a lot. I think the message is about not trying to be impressive, but being yourself, being confident, but also, I don't know, in a bigger picture, like in a Christian perspective, like you're not going to wow somebody by being awesome with your faith. Like your faith is going to radiate just from who you are and what you believe deep down. And yeah, even trying to wow somebody with your Christianity is like, no, you're completely missing the point. Your faith is there to serve others and not appear impressive. So, how's that Christian spin on the movie Hitch? Who's seen Hitch, by the way? Good. All right, so it came from one of those people. All right, yes.
That'd be a fun one to watch sometime, maybe.
What are some red flags?
Ooh. I can say personally, I was in my first dating relationship officially was when I was about 16. It was before I was a Christian, or was sort of becoming a Christian at the time. And I was dating a guy who was very much like pressuring me to be physical. And that is a huge red flag, even before I was a Christian, but now even more so. Like, sex is so designed for marriage. It's what God's design is. It's all over the Bible to say, that the marriage bed is sacred. I think in Hebrews it talks about that. And it just is designed to bring you so close to your spouse and to build a sweet kind of thing between you two. And so, yeah, getting too close to that outside of marriage kind of like just messes with that long term. And it takes some healing to get back from that.
Mm-hmm. I think a red flag would be like, what do the other people close to this person say about them? Is a very, very big deal. Even, do they have friends of the same gender? And I get that it's actually really hard to have good, meaningful friendships of the same gender sometimes. It takes work. But like, what does their family say about them? What do their closest friends say about them? Do they speak well, or are they somebody different when they're with you? That'd be a big red flag for me. And it was to the point where even before Maggie and I decided to date, I wanted to go meet her family. And I get that that's maybe kind of backwards for some people, but to me it was really important because I was rather convinced even before we were dating that I was possibly going to marry you. Well, you either get married or you break up, right? And so I did not want to fall in love with somebody and then meet her dad and then have like a really hard relationship with him.
All the movies show that transparently.
Yeah, and maybe part of it, like one of my mentors when I was younger. So this was my boss when I was a camp counselor at Hidden Acres. I was a camp counselor for 5 summers. He fell deeply in love with somebody, but then he had a horrible relationship with her parents, and they were making many demands of him, even when they were engaged. And it got to the point where he had to call it off, not because he didn't love her, but because he saw a future of pain with such a strained relationship with their parents. And so I think that was important in my mind of what do other people say? And then also your family relationships really matter. You don't, I don't know, you maybe heard the phrase, like, you don't marry the person, you marry the family. And you really do. And sometimes you can work through it, but also other times, like in the case with my friend from camp, you have to maybe say it's not going to work. So I don't know. Not to say, because I know for some of you have very complicated family. You have complicated families, and 2 blended families or family where there's members you don't talk to, and I get it, and God can heal those, and heal that strain, but that's something to really take seriously.
I'm gonna tag on that too, along with like what, like the other people around them. What do people say to you about your relationship? People that you trust, people that are the kind of people that will say, like, tell you when you're wrong if you're wrong. Like, they're not too shy to say that, and trust their opinion too, especially if they're people who are godly people and who have spoken God's word and God's truth in your life before. Like, trust their opinion. Because when you are Twitter-pated, as we like to say, you are not really seeing very clearly sometimes, and so it's good to have wise people around you. From the floor.
Tuner off, it's distracting Diana.
There you go.
Another one.
Next one? All right. Yeah, we're going to be here all night. Okay. How does music factor into your relationship?
Well, when we were dating, Titus made me a mix CD, and that was really sweet.
Super scratched up now, but it's still sweet.
It had It's You I Like on it too.
Aw.
Yeah, I think maybe.
Yeah, I'm constantly thinking about a beat in my head, like at all times. It doesn't stop, and so I don't know. Music's like deep down in me, and it's actually been really sweet that Maggie will poke at herself for not being a great singer, but it's something that's just a really wonderful part of getting to sing with you and to do music and find bands that we enjoy together. We've got a piano in our house, and I love playing piano, and our boys are playing piano, and Meg's playing piano, and I don't know, music is great. Some of you know me. Nathan's been over a couple times. Like, golly, this guy listens to loud music, just like, and it's not just intense music, but it's intense music turned up loud.
He had a stereo. Thankfully, it broke because he didn't understand that the walls, well, they may seem thick or not.
So most of the time, it was my phone doing that, not the stereo.
Yeah, that makes it worse.
When Titus married me, he also acquired a new drum set because he plays drums on me a lot. And also we had to decide what the limit was for number of drum sets in the house at a given time.
5 is the limit.
But it was pretty sweet when he learned to play piano for one of my favorite bands. So play those.
To the limit for drum sets.
I'm down to 2 now, but
Yeah.
I was at 4.5.
Yeah,
And then
that is the limit. 4.5 is
4.5.
the limit.
We had to have a conversation. Wow, it's a big part. Wow.
Yeah.
And maybe even part of this question is, it's actually really important to have a shared hobby, because your only hobby can't be making out or sex, and you have to have other things that sustain the relationship. Otherwise, someone sexier is going to come along, and goodbye. Or something more exciting is going to come along, and see ya. I know it kind of sounds like kind of off the cuff, but this is just right around the corner for a lot of you guys. And you got to have something that you enjoy outside of just the physical side. And that was the real wonderful part of having a really good, solid friend group. That when we first were getting to know each other for a couple of years, I knew her in that context of friends that did things together. And it wasn't just awkward pairing off of couples. It was really important. And I guess it continues because we love having people over and going on double dates. And it's great. It's great to have things outside of just the two of you. Good? Anything heretical yet, Brandon? No? Okay.
What age should you start dating? Good question. Being our son just recently informed us that he is dating someone and he's in 6th grade, which was a surprise to us. But so we had that conversation a lot earlier. But what we told him was that, like, dating is to help you find out if you're going to marry a person. So, like, Ray, if you're going to start dating, like, that's a long time from now. Even Ezra's like, I don't know if you're going to marry her. I'm like, all right, Ezra gets this idea. Like, that's a long time if you're going to try to pace yourself to when you're going to actually get married. I mean, there's just you're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities to get to know other people and to find out who you are if you're really focused in on dating a lot. So I'd say don't date until you're kind of getting ready to get married. Like, although you might start to fall in love earlier. I don't know. Any words on that?
Yeah.
Yeah. Tell us now, Titus. I'll fill in the gaps.
Yeah.
Let's see. I'll have a joke for you. No, just kidding.
Yeah.
While Titus chews.
I think the guys in our small group, maybe I've shared this with you guys before, but maybe not. I think it's super important to be able to hang out in a group setting. You can really get to know a lot about a person in that setting. It does not need to be one-on-one. And yes, one-on-one is exciting. It feels pretty special. It could be intimate and maybe entirely too intimate. But a healthy friend group is an amazing place to, like Maggie said, get to know somebody else, but also get to know yourself. And it's just really low pressure situations. You're not going to find yourself in a situation you wish you weren't if you're in a group. There's a chill vibe to a group. It's what also makes youth group a great place to get to know yourself and know other people. Some of you might end up marrying each other. Who knows? Like, that's a weird, wild thought, isn't it? It might happen.
Favorite date? What did you do?
My favorite date, this is when I was still in college and Maggie was working as a reporter at Lamar's. And we would plan together lunch dates. And Pablo remembers the house where we were at in Lamar's with that pond right by our house. Maybe some of you guys know the campground pond in Lamar's. So we would meet up for dates at different places. And there's one time we brought entirely too much food for our picnic. I think we could have fed 20 people. There was so much food. And I tend to overestimate how much people eat because I think everybody is a hungry Wolverine like me.
Bring him with you.
Bring Nathan along for the next date. You're going to be chaperone?
All the rest of that food, I'm sure.
Okay, Nathan's going to chaperone our next date.
I'm trying to think.
I think that's one of my favorites.
If he does, just send me pictures.
Okay.
That was definitely also one of my favorite dates. I also enjoyed going to Life Light with Titus, just hanging out, listening to bands and talking and laughing, and it was a fun time getting to jam out together. So
First time we held hands, too. Was that Life Light?
Life Light.
And then we were at a Family Force 5 concert. You guys know Family Force 5?
We have like a keytar.
Okay, and had her up on my shoulders, and she was beside herself giggling because she'd never been up 9 feet in the air, or maybe in a while. Mark, you good? How hard is it to start dating? Well, it was so difficult for me that my first girlfriend was when I was a sophomore in college, so wasn't that tricky. No, it was, I guess, hard to start dating. I guess part part of it is finding somebody that will say yes, of course, that's part of it. But also it's, I guess, yourself being in the right frame of mind to do it, kind of like what Maggie said. Like, are you ready to fall for somebody and possibly marry them? And if you're not, maybe don't put that pressure on yourself.
Another part of dating and eventually marriage is like you have to put yourself and your own desires and things to the side. It's part of a Christian truth too, that you lay down your life for another person. But when you're married to someone, you can't have your will and your way first all the time. And dating is a good place to practice that. So when you're ready to start doing that, that's a good time to start dating too.
Should the guy or the girl make the first move? Maybe the girl who made the first move should answer this one.
So we had been hanging out for quite a while, like just hanging out, like having picnics at parks. Was that even before we were officially dating? I don't know. We were hanging out and talking a lot. We spent a lot of time sending each other Facebook messages, a very long train of those. And so we decided to meet up at this Mexican restaurant in Lamar's, and we sat down, we're eating our chips and salsa. And I was like, I'm going to say it. I said, hey, I really like you and I want to spend more time with you or something like that.
And I was going to do it there, and she beat me to it. Yep. And it's I don't know.
Wait, P.S. By then, everybody else thought we were dating, so
Yeah.
we were the last person to talk about it.
And I think that the first move really can be a very small move. It can be as small as, I really like spending time with you, and I'm wondering if you would like to also. Here's a big no-no, okay? Don't ever do this. Don't ask the other person, do you like me? Or how do you feel about me? No, no, no. You put your own feelings on the line first. Do not say,
Be the brave one.
Yeah, be brave about it and be bold. Do not say, so what do you think about me?
True story. Titus one time asked me late in the night, as we're hanging out in a hammock in Guatemala, he says, so, like, if I were to ask you to marry me, what would you say? I was like, you don't get to, like, pre-ask that.
But you answered.
I did. Right before an armed guard told us to go to bed.
It's true. He had a very big gun.
Very big.
I listened to him. How do you find the right person? When I was in high school, I had these qualifications for somebody I was going to marry. So they had to be Christian, they had to be drop dead gorgeous, and they had to be 5'3" brunette. And she's 5'2", so I got to find somebody else. No. And maybe some of you have, like, in your mind about who you want to date and possibly even marry. Keep that list short. Don't get too wrapped up in a long list of specifics. You might be very surprised who quickens your heart and who the Lord puts in your life that you could end up loving and possibly marrying. But I think super critical element is that they follow the Lord. There's a lot of Bible passages on people marrying and being what's called, it's like an old term, yoked to unbelievers. Literally, like, you're doing work together, like two oxen, two animals plowing a field. That's a yoke. To not be yoked to unbelievers. And it was a really important thing for me with Maggie, that she loves the Lord. And even demons believe that God exists. So as you ask people about this kind of question, like, so tell me about faith and where you're at with this. If someone says, I believe in God, it's like, congratulations, you're on par with the demon, okay? But beyond that, is Jesus your Lord? And do you serve him with your heart, soul, mind, and strength? And none of us can do that perfectly, but is that your trajectory in life? Is every part of you aiming in that direction? And you will make mistakes, yes, but are you aiming that way? And I feel like that's part of the right person answering that question. And yes, of course, if somebody you think is drop dead gorgeous, yeah, have that be something. If you know that physical attraction is really important to you, go for it. If somebody who's a great friend to you is important, go for it. If it's somebody who likes adventure, go for it. If it's somebody who's a homebody, go for it. You might get disappointed if you have a long list of qualifications, and there might be some people that you're just overlooking that could just be at minimum just a great friend to get to know. And like we keep talking about, in a group setting, great people to get to know. You learn a lot about yourself and others in groups. So start with a group, see if one of those might be the right person. Get to know them for a couple of years. Yes, great people can fall in love in a couple of weeks. It's not common, but it can happen.
Unless it's a movie.
Yes.
Then it's like 2 hours
Yeah.
after they meet each other.
Right. I think part of it is being more patient than you thought was possible. I remember there was one point in my life, and this is a time when God was interceding in my life in a lot of ways, but I had broken up with a guy, and I was kind of going after a bunch of guys, and I literally opened my Bible saying, like, God, how long do I have to wait till my life changes? By which I meant, when will I find the man of my dreams? And the first passage said, like, in the 3.5 year. I was like, what? That's forever. And so I quickly turned the page, and then it said, in the 4th year. And I was like, no. And I slammed my Bible shut. But anyways, that felt like a long time. But truly, about 3.5 years later, I met this guy and started hanging out with him. But in the meantime, I pursued other guys I didn't really need to spend time pursuing. I was just being impatient. So consider being patient, because that God will bring that right person to your life. You don't have to necessarily find them. So.
Maggie, what is your favorite part of Titus?
Ooh, yeah. Okay, my love language is being warm. So Titus is like consistent body temperature of like 105 degrees is his magic weapon. No, honestly, I love the way he treats people. Like I said from the beginning, he treats everyone as an equal or better than himself. And that's, it's so beautiful, it's so biblical, and it's, a way that I would like to be. So I married someone that I'm trying to like rise to his level.
That's sweet. What is a way that you like to bond other than music? We love having our home open to people, and I grew up with a house like this. A lot of you know my parents. They always have people over. I think for quite a while they even had just an extra place setting set at the dinner table in case somebody would drop in. And so we love getting to know people. It's part of what makes having an Airbnb room in our house a lot of fun. It's also why we have both chosen to mentor people, and we bond through, I don't know, it's almost like we bond through being of equal mission to pour into somebody else. But also, I had another thought and I lost it. It was there, it's gone.
We like to travel some too when we get a chance, and just have road trips together. You get a lot of time talking together when you're in your car. You have nothing else to do but talk to each other. So
Yeah, I lost it. It's gone.
sorry, trying to fill in the time for you.
You're good. How do you get over someone? I'll start this one. So my one girlfriend I had before Maggie was in college, and I really struggled to get over her because she was also still on campus at Northwestern, and if you keep bumping into the people, it's really hard, and sometimes you can't avoid that. But one way to get over somebody is you got to not hang out with them, and that's really hard to do, especially if you've been very close to somebody or you've even shared intimacy with somebody. It's very, very hard to move on from that, and it takes forcing yourself to not connect with people that know you so well, or to not connect with that person that knows you so well, even though it's very convenient and very easy. And I had a really hard time moving on from this old girlfriend of mine. And deep down, I knew I couldn't marry her. I knew she wasn't right for me. But I really didn't communicate that in how I treated her. I still hung out with her a lot, and it really played with her heart a lot. And I've apologized for that since. And I did not make it easy on myself at all. That was a time that I should have been leaning on other guys to support me through some of that hurt and that broken and ended relationship. And I didn't. And I made it very hard on myself. Anything? For next one?
One thing, along with that.
By the way, number 10.
Number 10. That was question number 10. Along with that, along with not hanging out with them, just remove their social media from your feeds and your accounts, block them, whatever. If you're going to keep seeing them every 5 minutes in your feed and your messages, it's going to be really hard for you to get over them because it's just feeding back into you all the time. So
Good for you.
Then you don't have to worry about that part. You're good.
All right. Apparently, this is question number 7. There's a 7 in the corner. Okay. Do you wait for a boy to ask you out, or do you ask them? Go for it, Maggie.
I think it could go either way, but I think it's nice when the guy can be the bold and brave one to put his feelings out there, because it's not easy for anyone to do, but it's kind of a nice gentlemanly thing to be the bold one in that area. But again, I think you should almost know the other person's answer before you ask it, if you have hung out with them enough and you know their friends, their family, the way they treat each other and treat you. Almost know that answer ahead of time.
Like asking them if they would hypothetically marry you? Apparently this is question number 11. Okay. How do you know if they are a Christian? It's an awesome question. I think the easy, not correct answer would be do they go to church? Do they use good words? Do they, what else would it be? The very visible things. Do they go to church? Do they not swear?
They wear Bible verse t-shirts.
Yeah, Bible verse t-shirts. And not saying that those things are bad, but those are, I think, easy things to see that can maybe be, you can try to confirm something that you want. Maybe you really want them to be a Christian because you find them to be gorgeous, and also okay, if they say they love God and they go to church, all right, they must be in. Really good. Okay. I think a big part in this is all throughout Scripture is Jesus says this is how you demonstrate that you love one another, that you lay down your life for your friends. And so do you see that person putting others before themselves? In our family devotions, we've been reading through 1 Samuel, and golly, the amount of times that Saul is trying to kill David is constant. He's constantly trying to kill him. Don't be around Saul if he has a spear. Just don't do that, okay? Because he's going to throw it at you.
It's like a horror movie when the music turns dark. You're like, no, it's going to happen again.
And the thing I looked back at today and reread was there's a time where Jonathan, David's friend, so this is Jonathan, Saul, the king's son, David's best friend. What's the line? Maybe you can correct me, Brandon. He loved him Jonathan and David loved each other like themselves, or something close to that. Couple spots.
Before.
Oh, I got it. Okay, so it's 1 Samuel 18. The soul of Jonathan was knit to the soul of David, and Jonathan loved him as his own soul. So they had such a deep friendship, and there's a point to where Jonathan knew that his dad was not good. David himself said, "Your dad's trying to kill me," and Jonathan's like, "No, it's not true, not true. But I want to see for myself. I got to see it to believe it." And there's a point where Jonathan confronts his own dad, saying, "What has David done to wrong you? Why are you doing this?" And Saul became so mad that he threw a spear at his own son. Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay. And so what I see is Jonathan in that story risking his own neck for somebody that he loves. And do you see another person doing that? That's a good starting point. Now, yes, intentions are really important to know, but the world does not understand serving one another. The world understands do things to get ahead, do things for pride, do things for status, for recognition. There was no benefit to Jonathan to stick up to his dad. His dad's, the king. And he probably had a spear next to him at the moment. There's no benefit for Jonathan to say, what have you done? What has David done to wrong you? And his dad just freaks out. And he knew right then and there, yep, David was telling the truth. My dad is so overcome with jealousy for David. So look for that kind of quality in somebody.
Jesus, did you have a question with that? Yeah, Jonathan dies later on. But you have to read 1 Samuel. It's a good book. 2 Samuel 1.
2 Samuel.
Ooh. Titus, question for you.
Uh-oh.
Titus, what do you look for in a woman?
Is it this woman specifically? What do I look for in a woman? Or what did I know. What I'm currently seeing in this woman, I think Maggie and I, maybe not right away at the beginning, but I think we understand better, like this really tough balance in the Bible about, and this is in, you're going to test me on this one. 2 Timothy, wives submit to your husbands and husbands love your wives. 2 Timothy, 1 Timothy, Brandon? 1 Timothy. Okay. It's a really, really complicated verse that has justified a lot of terrible things by like wives just shut up and listen to your husbands, and then husbands do whatever you want. And I don't know if we thought about this a lot initially, but I think I see you and I working through that and doing a really good job of it, where Maggie is the more hesitant one between the two of us, and knowing that I need to not push her through big life decisions. But also she's told me directly, I will follow where you're leading. And that's hard. It's hard to get there, but I think that's really good. Because also the pressure's on me that I am also in submission to Christ. I'm not just doing whatever I want. There's a lot of I don't know. There's a pretty big imbalance in our culture that men just kind of seemingly get to do whatever, kind of being held unaccountable. But women, you better submit to your husbands. It's not good. And even men, we are in submission to Christ. How's that? Good? Anything to add for what I'm looking for in a woman?
I don't even know where to go with that. We're on question 8 for those that are keeping numbers. How do you build up the courage to ask someone out? Good question. I think kind of tying back to what we said before, like just hanging out with them, getting to know who they are, and having them know who you are. And then when I think you kind of start to build more of a close friendship, that you be able to trust each other to be able to ask that kind of thing. How do you build up the courage? Well, I guess if it's to the point where you're like, I'm going to regret not asking this person, then I think if you don't want to live with that regret, you're going to ask.
Mm-hmm. I like what Maggie said before too, like kind of have in your mind what you think the answer probably will be. It's all right. There was a very good friend of mine in college who I thought she liked me, and I was really crazy about her. And a lot of my friends thought she was into me too. And so I asked her out, and she said, I don't know why my guy friends keep asking me this, but I'm sorry, I'm not interested. It was hard for me to hear. But to be willing to hear a no answer is important. And then to let it be. Guys, if a girl says no, leave her alone and don't ask again. If she's interested, go for it. but quit asking her.
They're not playing hard to get, they're just annoyed with you.
Just take them at their word. Yep.
Especially if they keep saying no.
They shouldn't have to keep saying no.
Not play hard to get.
Titus, I have another question for you. Titus,
no.
what is your favorite part of Titus? You can take that where you want.
Maybe my favorite part is being okay with going bald and having a lovely wife that keeps telling me you're handsome no matter what. That's pretty fun. How's that? Did I redirect that one
He's a
pretty well?
hottie.
What's the verse? Beauty will fade, but Maggie's hot. What is it?
Song of Solomon 3:12.
What is the rest of that verse? Beauty will. No, but moving along. Brandon's waving me on. Okay.
All right, number 9. What do you do if you get rejected? Good
Kind of
question.
I explained it a little bit, but you gotta leave.
Yeah.
You gotta leave her alone. Quit asking.
And give yourself some distance between that person. Like if you're still hanging around close to them and viewing all their snaps and all that, you're gonna keep hurting all the more. Pull the Band-Aid off.
Apparently, this is number 4. What happens when we get to number 1? Is it a super juicy question? All right. If someone asks you out, but you don't like them, what do you say to not be rude?
It's a great question.
Maybe easier said than done, but you can say, I'd like to just stay friends. You're a good friend. Let's just stay friends. But also know that it might get really weird between you and that person, especially if they want to keep hanging out. Or if you were just friends and now they've introduced something to make it awkward when you hang out. A common phrase you keep hearing, hang out in groups. Don't find yourself one-on-one with that person. You might be fine with it, but that other person is maybe boiling inside with all kinds of emotions for you. So just don't be alone with them.
What was the question again?
What do you say to not be rude?
Yeah. I say don't shy away from actually telling them how you feel though, because don't leave that thread of hope that maybe it'll happen later. Just be very clear so you don't keep hurting them over time. If you're hanging around each other, they know very clearly that this is not going toward a dating relationship.
Yeah, a clear, I'm not interested, but thank you for telling me. Something like that.
Yeah, it's pretty hard to be like super polite in that moment, but it's better to be very honest and very polite. But don't be mean either. Paper airplane. This question is smiley face.
Titus, what's your favorite part of Maggie? Oh, apparently this is question 365. 365 days a year. Maybe we're leaving off leap year. I'd say she makes beautiful babies.
Wow.
Not like saying you like your kids in your life.
How do you know if a guy is into you? Well, let me tell you a story about the day that I got set up on a date for this guy in Lamar's, and Titus and I were in the same friend group, right? So I was like, oh, I have to go on this date. I was living in Sioux Center. I have to go on this date with this guy in Lamar's that I don't know, whatever. And Titus is like, well, I'm going to a wedding in Cherokee to drop off a bass for my ex-girlfriend.
That was weird.
So anyways, he's like, I'll give you a ride. And so he dropped me off at my date, and then he came back through and picked me up. And it was like, the date wasn't, like, they weren't ready to be done with the date, but I'm like, the date's over, bye, because I kind of liked Titus at the time. Anyways, so we were driving home and talking, and we had just gone to Walmart. So, like, Titus and I, like, were looking around at stuff, and he's like, hey, you want to come over to my house for some gelato? I think my mom has some gelato. And so we were talking like generically, like, so how do you like show someone you're interested in them? And Titus is like, well, I keep finding excuses to hang out with them.
By the way, you want to have some gelato? She didn't get the hint.
I was like, oh, that's nice. But yeah,
I
it's
told her
like-
the game plan.
Like I said, when you're Twitter pated, you are blind. But if they're keep making excuses to hang out with you, if they're finding reasons to be around you and like be playful around you and like find reasons to give you little taps, I'm probably into you.
What would be or what was your ideal date? Oh man. Ideal.
Well, this isn't really a date, but it's how Titus proposed to me, and it was ideal because we were hanging out with my family up in Minnesota at my grandma's cabin there. We'd gone swimming and hung out the lake, and we're getting packed up and ready to go. And like I'm putting stuff in the car, and Titus is kind of like putzing around on the front deck, and I'm like, "Hey, Titus, we should get our bags." He's like, "Oh, just another minute." And my mom and dad are sitting there. And then my uncle comes out and he pours himself like a really tall drink and pops down on the front porch. And I was like, Titus, we should probably go. He's like, oh, just wait a minute yet. And then I turn around, I turn back, and he's like down on one knee and says all those beautiful things, like that he wanted to marry me and all that. And I want, like, do I want to marry you? Do you want to marry me? Whatever. And so it was there with whatever, some of that nice stuff. I can't remember. It was beautiful. It was beautiful. But it was beautiful to spend that time with parents and even my uncle hanging out on the front deck, but just to be with family too and share like that your love isn't just for you two, it's for the people around you as well. So,
Sweet.
and whatever.
What do you do for family devotions? We do this fun thing when the four of us are together. I read something from the Bible. Right now we're in 1 Samuel, and some of you know this. It's the rule that if I forget to read when the four of us are together, then my boys get candy during the meal. So like, it drives me absolutely bonkers if they're eating candy during the meal. So I have to read. And what's nice is we have a translation of the Bible that's really friendly for kids. It's called the Easy to Read version. And while not very technical for Bible scholars, it's actually really good for even our 7-year-old Ezra to understand. And it's a really beautiful moment to read part of a story, and then to just kind of give some space for some questions or even some of our own insights or our own struggles with what a passage is saying. You know, right now in Samuel, it's talking about David acquiring a lot of wives, and I'm struggling with that part right now because I'm like, well, David was the man after God's own heart. What's he doing with all these wives? And it's not getting called out in that story, but at the same time, I know Solomon had, golly, how many hundreds of women, you know, and that led to his downfall because he kept trying to please all these wives and had all kinds of idols built. So it's struggling with what the Bible is saying and sometimes what it's not saying. But I think it's really important to read the Bible, but then also process. I don't know, how's this matter? Not just what facts are happening, but how's this matter? Something I try to do since doing family devotions is to try to relate what we're learning in devotions to something that the boys are going through, or something that they're experiencing, maybe a friend conflict or something awesome going on. That's hard to do, and that kind of only comes with practice. I think I'm getting better at it. I think right out of the gate of trying out family devotions starting about a year and a half ago, we started it. It did not go very smoothly. I had like this ideal in my mind of like, I'm going to share this and it's going to be awesome. And the boys are going to be like, oh, thanks, Dad, for reading the Bible today. And it didn't go that way. And it was a little too much, but I think we found a good balance for a good translation, which is important to actually understand what's being read, but then also to make some space for talking about it.
Yeah, and if you want to have like real conversations with your kids about like real stuff like sin, sex, all of the above, like just read some chapters of the Bible and it will crack that wide open, and you're having a conversation about the birds and the bees at dinner table with your 10 and your 6-year-old. And it's good stuff. It's a great place to start to dive into deep conversations like that, whether it's about sin or sin in our life or our need for God, or all of the above.
This next question says the favorite Taylor Swift song. My answer is none of them. Maggie?
She deserves nothing better.
She sang the Eye of the Tiger.
That's Katy
whatever.
Perry.
No. So I don't even know.
I hate that song with a person.
I'm a child of the 90s, and I really like the 90s, but
There's a great Christian band called The Swift. Way better than Taylor Swift.
there's a guy named Taylor back there.
Yeah.
Once Taylor
What you got, Maggie?
What are your thoughts on kids? Good and bad. Question number 11-1. Yeah. Kids are a blessing from the Lord. Like, it's in the Bible, and it's so true. Wow. They are, like, it is amazing to share your life with people that you, like, for some reason they look up to you, and you're like, maybe you should second guess that. No, it's just beautiful to have a chance to really pour into someone's life like that. To, like, from the ground up, you are training them to be a human being. Sometimes it's really hard, like when they're infants and they're crying and you don't have any reason why, and it's the middle of the night and it's the 20th night this has happened and you no longer have any sanity left, but it's worth it.
It's this is another.
I mean, it's fine, Taylor, it's fine.
I think this is another tricky verse because in the Bible, God commands Adam and Eve to be fruitful and multiply, and some people don't or can't, and that's a hard verse. And so I think tied into that is the good and bad, the pressure that, I don't know, the idea of having children is what saves you. I think that's been something that's been really debated throughout different groups of Christians. Yeah, false. Having children doesn't save you. But it is a mandate. And so it's this gray area. And also, I mean, some of you, I've known you, I don't know, your whole life. Some of you just met you this year, but I also know some of you have incredibly strained relationships with your parents and maybe even no relationship at all. And so maybe this is even a really hard part in your life. And know that having kids is not just, had some kids and my part's done. Nope. Having kids means you, in the right sense of it, is this is somebody who you are raising and discipling into the knowledge of the Lord. And Proverbs is all over that. All the pressure on parents to do the right thing. And a lot of your parents haven't done the right things. And Maggie and I haven't done the right things as we parent. And to take it really, really seriously. And I don't know, maybe it's too direct, but sex is for marriage, and one of the obvious outcomes is babies. And so if you're not ready to have children, just stay away from it. Don't touch it. And stay away from that fire, because it's, yes, children are wonderful, but also children that are not cared for appropriately and safely can come out and end up very, very damaged. So take this really seriously.
Yeah, it's no joke either. I know I like to joke about the infant years, but those are small decisions based on the kind of decisions you'll have when your child is 10, 13, 16, 19. Parenting is something you'll do for your entire life. And we're just really starting to tap into that, the kind of questions they have about how to do life, and the kind of, you can't make your children's decisions for them. And it's terrifying too. So, yeah. But also beautiful that you get to share life with them.
This one's a good question. It's apparently number one. It says, Titus, did you ever like another girl while dating Maggie? Do the same question to Maggie. Hey. The answer is no. but also we are creatures that are sinful, and so there are very real things like lust, and nobody is safe from this. And I think one of the hard parts is when I was in Guatemala, the other teacher that went with me from Northwestern College, she's great person, and I never liked her like that at all. But during that time, and then for a couple of years, I think that connection that I had with that other teacher was a little threatening, and I had to be really careful with like what things I kept from my time in Guatemala, like what kinds of pictures I kept, and it's just friends hanging out. I did not like her like this in any other ways. But when there's pictures of like an outing off to the beach, and then I happen to still have pictures of she and I and the other student teachers, that didn't make Maggie feel good. And so just because what's in your heart is maybe pure, doesn't mean that somebody that is getting to know you or loves you later in life might not also be kind of threatened by that. And rightfully so, that the person who is my spouse now deserves all my attention and all my affection and my admiration, and there's really no other woman that gets to have that. And I don't know if that was the direction I wanted to go with answering that, but I feel like that's maybe a good honest answer. Yeah. And so while, those pictures and things of the great memories that I had with that other teacher and a lot of the other teachers, those exist in my mind now, but it's not something that Maggie needs to see. And maybe that's even really important for you guys, that after, if you're close with other people of the opposite gender, that talking about them and doing things with the other gender, especially in the context of being married to somebody, you gotta let it go and move on. And that's hard. It's hard to maybe say no to any kind of a special friendship with the other gender once you're married, but it's the right thing.
We have talked with one of our college students, just debating this idea, like, can there actually be a platonic relationship between a guy and a girl, like just friends only, and neither of them is interested? And I'm not honestly convinced that it can exist. I think there'll always be some level of affection from one or the other. If you're in a guy-girl friendship, I've just seen it to be true too many times to believe otherwise. So to be very careful with those relationships, that you're not very unintentionally leading someone else on to. But I think Titus is absolutely right on. Like, Satan is going to try to destroy godly things like marriage, and he's going to try to find places where you're weak, or try to use things that feel good to you, like maybe you're a people pleaser and people's like praise to you, and like then you might start to like feel attraction toward that person. And just to be very hyper aware of where Satan might be trying to attack you and break apart your marriage. It's a very real thing.
Who made the first move? All right, it was Maggie.
Yeah.
Although I kept finding reasons to hang out with her, so. Apparently it's question number 5, apparently. Okay. How do you build up the courage to talk? Oh, we've talked about this one. The courage to talk to someone you like.
Maybe that's a different question. It's like just to talk with them and hang out.
Oh, yeah. Good.
Yeah, like they probably are trying to do the same thing. So just strike up a conversation about something that you guys both have in common, like whether it's what you did that day or something that you notice about them that you're interested in and have a question for them. Like, people are usually genuinely happy to share about themselves if you ask a question about them or something they like. So get to know them, find reasons to ask about who they are.
And do it in a group, because then other people can answer too. Mm-hmm. And maybe you'll like someone else's answer and you'll want to date them instead. Just kidding. How do you set up a romantic date?
Get a bag of bread, a squeeze thing of jelly, a big box of cookies. What else do we bring? Grapes, chips, lots of food, and go hang out at a park. That's pretty romantic.
A romantic date. It's never gonna go as smoothly as you think it will. So just be yourself. But also, if you know that a special moment is really meaningful to the person that you're dating or interested in, put some effort into it. If they love flowers, find a way to get some flowers in their hands. If they love a sweet card, go for it. One of the good things that Maggie and I learned a little bit early on, maybe you've heard of it. It's called the 5 love languages. And I know this isn't the Bible. You won't find the 5 love languages in the Bible, but you'll find these kinds of things. These kinds of things are in the Bible about how do you serve your partner, how do you serve somebody else that you're dating, how do you serve your spouse. And maybe you guys have had it before where you've given somebody a gift that you thought was super meaningful and it was going to be meaningful to them, and then they're just like, okay, whatever. Or you've said something, you just poured your heart out to somebody, they're like, okay, bye. Or I don't know. There's times that what you think is special is not understood by the other. I'm trying to think of a context for us when we've had a swing and a miss.
I wasn't thinking about that, but I was thinking about the 5 love languages also. I guess we've been married, we're thinking the same thoughts. But if you are going to plan a romantic outing, like, get to know them and what they would like, what they would think is romantic. Like, whether it's their favorite kind of music or a show that they would like. The most romantic thing is going to be showing them that you know them and know what matters to them. Not necessarily roses and whatever chocolates, but just, I've gotten to know you and I know you well, and I want to keep getting to know you more, and you're worth my time. I'm interested in who you are as a person.
My Christmas gift to Maggie, one of them, was this little ceramic square that you plug in, and it's like a foot warmer, and you just kind of put your feet on like this hot pad. It's awesome.
Love language is warm. That's me.
Okay. Apparently it's question number 2. How do you get someone to like you? Sing them this song. Sing them some Mr. Rogers. I don't know. It's maybe an impossible thing to get someone to like you, or if you're even thinking beyond that, get someone to love you. It's kind of impossible. I'm pretty sure our own Savior experienced this. The people that he poured years and years into his life, into his disciples, they rejected him. They were too scared to stick up for him. They were such big bums that when he was in the garden before he was going to be arrested, they couldn't even stay awake to be there with him. They fell asleep. So our own Savior understands this, and yet he doesn't give up. And so, I don't know. It's not like be like Jesus and never give up, and so just keep asking them out. No. But I feel like if you're struggling with this, the Lord understands as well. And maybe it's kind of go full circle with it and work on yourself, work on your own relationship with the Lord, work on your own friendships that you have with people of the same gender, work on how to be a great friend. I don't know, that's maybe the angle I'd take. What do you think? How do you get someone to like you?
Yeah. I mean, if you want to kind of show someone that you have affection for them, just continue to serve them. And if they keep giving you hints that they really don't want to spend that kind of time with you, then take the hints and give them space. They're not going to grow to like you if they're trying not to be around you. If you give them space, that's a more respectful thing to do.
Apparently it's question number 6. How do you know that you like someone? This is an interesting part of Maggie and I first dating. I actually didn't think she was cute at first. And so like, oh, mic drop. No, she knows that. She knows. What I was so struck by initially, because we were friends for a couple years, and what I was struck by was she asked such thoughtful questions, And it wasn't like a thoughtful question that then she moved on from or stopped talking to me. No, she asked another thoughtful question and another thoughtful question. And to me, the fact that somebody wanted to get to know me and not just small talk, but followed up with something that I shared and wanted to know more, like that really was exciting to me, to the point where we both left that same bonfire with a bunch of friends thinking, what just happened? That was good. And maybe that's okay that the person that I don't know, how do you know that you like someone? They don't have to be, I don't know, they don't have to be someone that you think is the hottest person in the world. There's other qualities that are very admirable in somebody that you want to date or marry. But what's fun is the more I got to know Maggie, the more beautiful that I thought she was in all ways. And I don't know, you see us snuggling all the time. I can't stay away from her. She's too fun. Anything?
How do you know you like someone? If you keep finding reasons to want to hang out with them.
Last question. With 10 minutes to spare. How do you know if they are the right one? This is a really good question.
That's a great question. Wow, what a good question for last. Someone stage that. Nice.
We talked. Did we talk about this last night? A little bit. I can't remember. What do the people that are closest to you? What do they say? Do they see you and the other person better together than apart? Do they see you serving the church and serving others better than when you're apart? Some of you know my mother. She's very bold. There's a point where I was dating my first girlfriend back in college, and there's a point where I was struggling with that relationship. I didn't feel like I was growing in my faith, and I didn't feel like I was being encouraged in my faith by my own girlfriend. And I felt like I was stronger than her in my faith, but it was kind of not really going anywhere. And so maybe you have a mother or a parent who is bold like Ruth Landigan, but it was at a family vacation at the end of that summer where my mother told me, Titus, I don't want her to be my daughter-in-law. Now, maybe you have a bold parent like Ruth Landigan, or maybe not, but I trust my mother, and I trust other people around me who I see following the Lord and have not just their own interests at heart, but also something more than just a selfish desire. Yes, it's pretty bold of her to say, I don't want her to be my daughter-in-law, but also I had to take that seriously. And that plus what was kind of stirring in my own heart left me really uncomfortable. It was really hard to see her again back at college. It felt like I gave her the worst welcome back kiss ever because I didn't feel something for her then. I kind of moved on mentally, and yeah, breaking up was really, really hard. But she wasn't the right one. That in my heart, what God was stirring and what was said by others that I trusted, kind of it aligned, and it was hard to deal with. Even some dear friends of mine from Hidden Acres said similar things too that just made me start to question, I'm not sure this is right that I'm dating this person. So that's how you know that they aren't. But I guess that could go the flip side too. You could hear confirmation from people you trust. On the flip side, does your pastor say, yeah, that person's a great person, and I see you loving and serving the Lord better when you're with that person? What do your friends say? If you're talking about being the one, as in to marry, talk to the dad, guys. Ask permission for marriage. You are potentially taking his most prized possession, his daughter. Weird to think of it that way. You're taking the most precious jewel from him, and he has to trust you with that. ask him if he trusts you. So if he doesn't, you have more to think about then. If he does, he'll give you that blessing. What do you think?
Tying back to what we started with, like, are you fully able to be the person that God made you, who you are with that person? You're gonna this is your life. You're gonna live together. You're gonna do life together. Does that person call you higher? Are you better just by being around them? And then can you do ministry with that person? Like, you're called as a Christian to share God's word and disciple people, encourage one another. And is that person, can they do that with you? Because it's going to be a hard load to pull, like thinking back to the 2 oxen pulling a load. If you're the only one pulling and you're kind of dragging someone alongside you. I mean, I've tried to drag Titus around dead weight. It is not easy. So I lose. But yeah, you're going to be partnered with them. Like, are you ready to be partnered with them in all ways? Because all the like fun flutter, butterfly, flutter bee, Twitter-pated feelings, all that sparks and stuff, that's like a temporary thing. But you can build something so much deeper and better. Like, I tell you what, dating is fun, but I would never, ever, ever want to go back to dating. Sorry. But have fun with it. But I'm just saying, yeah. Like a committed relationship where you are completely yourself with someone, you completely trust them to be completely vulnerable with. It's like your home base. Like, it's not a substitute, there's no substitute. So find someone that can be the truth for with you.
So that's the end of the questions. But as you can tell, we love answering questions. And so if some of you still have questions, don't hesitate to ask. I mean, we were joking earlier about like maybe some of the girls have questions for me. Yeah, I'm not going to just have a dating talk with you and me. No. But ask a question that maybe is for me, but also Maggie will be there too, to fill some of those questions. Or guys, you got questions like that maybe that Maggie could answer better? Go out for coffee with us or something. Or maybe one of you is thinking of dating somebody, or you got more questions about something, or golly, you've done things that you regret and you're trying to process it. There's nothing new under the sun. But there is grace and there's forgiveness and there's a Lord that we serve who is greater than any mistake and any anxiety. And I don't know, it's comforting to know. And so we're here for you guys. And seeing some of you guys nodding along with some things or getting some wide eyes about some things, it's okay. It's an important topic. I'm really thankful that Brandon is bringing us back again to do round 2. Obviously, we didn't screw it up enough the first time, so we're doing it again. So thank you, Brandon. This has been a real treat.